On this episode, we chat with Tim Russell about his new photo book, Bangkok Station.
So if you're a fan of the much beloved but probably doomed Hualamphong Train Station, you'll dig this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee krap, and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand in 2001 and, true story, had never ridden a train before that because trains in Canada are either incredibly boring, incredibly expensive, or full of grain and oil.
Is that true?
Yeah, no one. Why would you take a train in Canada?
But Canada's like big and empty. I thought trains would be like a thing. Like trains are not a real thing.
Airplanes. You can take trains, but they're very you can take the trains to the Rocky Mountains and stuff, but it's crazy expensive. And I'm not talking about like electric trains in cities. Of course, every place has those, but no.
Right. Oh, I didn't know that. Trains are pretty popular in the U.S. Not like in Thailand. Like trains are insanely popular here.
Right.
But trains are pretty popular.
Maybe in Eastern Canada, around Toronto and like down to New York and Buffalo and stuff, but in Western Canada, no.
Interesting. I am Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a one-year teaching contract 23 years ago. Fell in love with trying to convince Thai taxi drivers that Google Maps knows more about Thai traffic than they do, so I never left.
Please, I have Google.
This is a regular occurrence where a Thai taxi driver doesn't want to go somewhere because traffic rotate mark, and then I have Google and I'm trying to show him on Google Maps that, hey, no, it's open, there's no traffic there, and then they think they know more than Google. And maybe in 2008 or 2009 Google was in its nascent stages and maybe taxi drivers knew more, but now I feel like, don't you feel like Google is more trustworthy than a taxi driver?
Well,
I'm not trying to insult them. I'm just saying, like, Google has real-time data of what's happening right now in a certain neighborhood. Like they've got satellites, they've got the supercomputers.
I generally agree with you, but taxi drivers have real-time information too. They're tied into the taxi radio networks who are reporting accidents and whatever road has collapsed lately. Did you see that video a while ago where a guy totally screwed up Google Maps because he loaded like 100 phones into a little red wagon and walked down the middle of the road, pulling the wagon behind him, and it thought it was like Google interpreted that as a massive traffic jam. So
really? That is so funny. The road was
totally empty, but Google said, "Oh, it's totally red. It's jammed."
But that actually shows that Google is working.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I think I'm a fan of Thai taxi drivers. I don't think they're horrible like some people do. But I really wish they would just look at Google Maps and to use that instead of like their supposed knowledge. But it's just my opinion. It's just what I think.
Okay.
We want to give a big thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get every episode a day early, behind-the-scenes photos of our interviews, a heads up to send questions to upcoming guests, and access to our Discord server to chat with me, Greg, and other listeners around the world. But best of all, patrons also get an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we riff on current events and Bangkok topics. On this week's bonus show, we chatted about the difficulties of balancing the need to be a stern teacher so your students do what you want them to do, but at the same time being fun and likable enough for them to like you and listen to you. The tourist treadmill of Asiatique and queries about why The Final Countdown seems to be the theme song, and a plan to make the why part of Thailand's official national identity. To learn how to become a patron and get all this good stuff, plus full access to over 700, yes, for real, bonus and regular back episodes, click the support button at the top of our website.
I think they should make the national song The Final Countdown. That'd be pretty badass. Play it at immigration whenever comes through.
I thought the national song was I Will Survive.
Ooh, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, as always, if you have a comment, a show idea, or just want to say hi, head to bangkokpodcast.com and click the little microphone button on the bottom right to leave us a voicemail that we will play on the show. All right. Well, on this episode, we welcome to the show a fellow by the name of Tim Russell. Now, you may have seen Tim's work on Instagram at Tim Russell Photography, but he's also recently come out with a book, his own love letter to one of Bangkok's most iconic locations, Bangkok Train Station, otherwise known as Hualamphong. Now, anyone who's ever taken a train out of Bangkok over the past century or so will know Hualamphong and its unique quirks and charms well, but its days may be numbered. Its replacement, the decidedly less romantic, less interesting, less convenient, and more sterile Krungthep Apiwat Central Terminal means that plans to turn Hualamphong into a rail museum might be its last chance at life, because who knows how long that'll last. So I actually met Tim at Hualamphong, and we chatted right on one of the train platforms to hear about what makes this lovely old building so special, why he keeps going back to take photos, and how, sadly, his book might soon be one of the only ways Thailand newbies can bask in Hualamphong's faded glory. So here's my discussion with Tim, right from Hualamphong. All right, we are sitting here with our friend Tim Russell, an old Southeast Asian hand.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the show, Tim.
Hello.
And
thanks for having me.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. Now, if you can't tell, listeners, we are not doing this in studio like we normally do. We are actually sitting down at Hualamphong Train Station, otherwise known as Bangkok Station, and we are on one of the platforms here. We thought this would be a really appropriate place to record this episode because Tim has come out with a brand new, really cool photography book about this station, and this is a very historical station that has served Bangkok for over 100 years, and it's sort of getting less and less relevant as we go, which is a bit sad. So it's great that you've got this book out, Tim. So tell us about you, where you come from, and why you have gravitated to this amazing building, and why you're so interested in it.
Yeah, I'm originally from Coventry in the UK, and I've been in Southeast Asia since beginning of 2003. No, 2003. Sorry, makes it sound like I've just arrived. No, 2003, so I've been here for over 20 years.
Sometimes we feel we just got here.
Yeah. So I came to Vietnam on a business trip in late 2002, really liked it, and I got offered a job in Vietnam for a year. And never left. So I was in Vietnam for nearly a decade, and I came to Bangkok in 2012. So I've been in Bangkok for 11 years now. I really got into photography when I went to live in Vietnam. I thought it'd be a shame to live in such an interesting city like Saigon and not document it a little bit. But I didn't really get into it seriously probably till about 2015-16 when I was in Bangkok, and I started going out photographing a lot more often and doing it a lot more seriously. And one of the places that I originally came to was Hualamphong, because I'd taken the train here a couple of times and thought, wow, what a fantastic place. We were discussing earlier, saying that you have a stereotypical idea in your head of what a railway station should look like, be like, and this is it really.
Yeah.
It's a classic railway station. It's you've got these beautiful old trains behind us. We've got the two cleaning women sitting gossiping in the background, which you can probably hear.
Helpfully came and sat down just as we started
recording. Right across from us as when we started.
Yeah.
It's just an archetypal railway station. So that's and it didn't start off as a photography project. It just started with me coming out here and hanging out, taking pictures. But the fact that it's soon to close down has kind of made me want to turn it into a project and put the best images together.
Let's talk about that a bit, because for those that don't know, I think probably most of our listeners know a lot about Hualamphong. It is a very well-known, iconic bit of Bangkok. But this station was built in 1916, I think you said?
Yeah, 1916 it opened, yeah.
Yeah, and designed by an Italian architect, and which was all the rage at the time. And is sort of at the end of Rama 4, sort of squished between Chinatown and the sort of Silom business district, which is close by. Yep. So it's a very historical place, and it has served Bangkok well for 100 years. I have many memories of my early days in Bangkok in my mid-20s, meeting friends down here and having a little plastic bag with a bottle of Sangsom whiskey and a bottle of Diet Coke.
Yeah, those are the days. You can't drink on the trains here now, of course.
Yeah, sadly. a lot has changed. As Bangkok has grown up and out and technology has changed and there's been a lot more people and the needs of the population have changed, a few years ago, the government built the Bangsu rail station, which is going to replace this one. So all of the trains are going to come through Bang Sue, which is in northern Bangkok now, all of the electric trains, the high-speed trains, the diesel trains. And so there was a lot of concern for a while that Hualamphong was just going to get knocked down, as do a lot of old, beautiful buildings in Bangkok, and they're replaced by, libraries and museums and public parks. Just kidding. They're always replaced by shopping malls and condos. So, but
I wondered what you were talking about there. I thought, which part of Bangkok is this?
This guy has no business with a podcast. But thankfully, there was a pretty significant outcry, and that's probably not going to happen, at least for now. So can you talk a little bit about that movement and what's going to happen with the station in the future?
Yeah, well, as far as I know, there's talk of it being turned into a big transport museum. I mean, the two main platforms have already sort of been turned into museums. We can see behind us there's a couple of old steam locomotives.
Yeah,
I think the fact that this was one of King Rama IX's favourite buildings has saved it from the wrecking ball for now, anyway.
It carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, those royal connections always help, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the future developers do move in, because like you said, this is really valuable land. It's a huge patch of land.
Right.
We know that Chinatown is gentrifying a little bit as well now that the MRT is extended out there. Right. But one of the good things is, I mean, there was talk of bulldozing the whole sort of Soi Nana area around Chinatown.
The Chinatown Soi Nana.
The Chinatown Soi Nana, not Nana Plaza.
Soi Nana,
not Nana Plaza. The Chinatown Soi Nana, a few years ago, that area was under threat. So there was talk of that whole Soi Nana area being bulldozed. That's been saved, and now that's been it's been sort of gentrified, turned into quite a hipster area, a good nightlife spot. We've seen the same thing happen with Talad Noi, the same thing with Chinatown, that people realise that old architecture is something that needs to be protected. It's part of the city's heritage. I think the city has lost a lot of old buildings in the last 20, 30 years.
And not only that, it's why people come here,
Yeah, exactly.
I've ranted about this on the show before, although not...
I rant about it a lot as well.
Well, not in great detail, but specifically this. And the old Paklong Talat, the old flower market, what they did, they had beautiful old warehouses and buildings and stuff like that. And what they did with a lot of them was they gutted them and rebuilt them new to look old.
Yeah.
And then what they did was they stuck in a Starbucks and a couple of Thai franchise places.
Oh, I know that new building along the river there. Yeah.
Yes,
which is now deserted.
Now it's Yod Piman Market, and no one gives
no one's
a
interested.
Shit. There's nothing special about it. It's built new to look old. Well, who cares? Anyone can build a new building to look old. That's nothing unique. And I compare that with Talad Noi, which is another one of my favorite neighborhoods where I used to live, actually. Yeah. And what they've done is they've done a real community-centered approach to rejuvenation, and they've kept the old buildings, and they have gutted the buildings, but the original structures are still there, and a lot of the original interiors are still there. And they've really come together to paint a lot of artwork and install these really cool hipster coffee places and stuff. So it's gentrification still, but with a very unique and local flavor that retains the original value of the place. So hopefully what you said about Soi Nana and what I said about Talad Noi, hopefully the ideals of people are starting to change a little bit, where they recognize that they can still keep a place and still make money off of it, which of course...
Without bulldozing it and just putting some identikit condo or shopping mall there.
Yeah, no, I like you said, in 10 years, maybe we'll be down here and we'll be at the Hualamphong condos or something like that. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about your book. Now you're not specifically interested in the architecture of this place, which is still beautiful or anything like that, but you're more interested in the people, and the people seems to be the focus of your book.
Most of my photos. I mean, I didn't, like I said, it never started out as a photo project as such. It just started with me coming here and photographing, because it's a fairly easy place to photograph.
Right.
I photograph a lot on the street in Bangkok and in markets, and there it's always sort of, I wouldn't say it's stressful, but it's busy. There's always stuff going on. You're always worried that you're getting in people's way.
Right.
Whereas here you can come and you can just hang out and take your time, and you're not getting in people's way.
Right.
People here are generally easy to photograph. They're sort of sitting, relaxing, waiting for trains. And Thai people are generally easy to photograph anyway.
Right.
Because they're very friendly. So yeah, I'm not particularly a train enthusiast. I mean, I know people think because I've got a book out about a railway station that I'm a sort of big...
Yeah, Barrow's sewn up that market.
Richard. But I'm not trying to compete with Richard. I never could compete with Richard when it comes to rail enthusiasm. I'm not going to try. But really, when I started putting the book together, when I started working with the publisher, I realized that probably 90% of my photography here was of people.
Right.
And a huge amount of monk photography. I realized when I got the book, I realized I've taken that many pictures of monks. I could have done a whole book on monks waiting for trains, actually. But,
and there's I mean, it's sort of like, when you go to Western countries, I'm not sure if it's the same in the UK, but definitely in North America, when you go to like a train station or a bus station, it's usually, especially the bus stations, sort of like the mass transit, it's not very attractive. You have a lot of the sort of the desperation, the poverty. I was in
Naples in Italy in 2019, and I remember going to the railway station there, and that was just like, that just felt really sketchy.
Really?
It was really dodgy. Yeah, and that's the same with a lot of European cities. The area around the railway station tends to be
interesting.
Can be very dodgy. Whereas here, it's completely the opposite. It's very different.
I might disagree with you a little bit there. This is still a slightly dodgy area. I mean, I always say I feel safe in Bangkok because I
don't think Bangkok has dodgy areas. I photograph a lot in Klong Toi, in the slums of Klong Toi, where everyone says, "Oh, you shouldn't go there; it's a no-go area." But I've probably been there 100 times, and always had a warm welcome.
Easy for me to say as a giant, scary-looking bald guy. Yeah. but the cross-section of Thai society here is really, really good too. And let me be clear: I never felt danger here or anything, or walking around. But it's a slightly run-down area, a bit rough around the edges. But the people that you can see at Hualamphong, monks, there's homeless people, there's beggars, there's students, there's tourists, there's rich people who are coming for a little bit of the old razzle dazzle. So there's a really massive cross section of everyone who lives in Thailand here. So I imagine it would be a natural for someone who wants to photograph the people. What's it like photographing the people here? Do you just snap and wave, or do you ask permission?
It's very. I mean, you're kind of lucky being a street photographer in Bangkok, because you don't get any of the hassle that you might get in Western cities of people saying, "Oh, don't photograph me," and you don't get that here at all. I mean, I'm generally always polite. I do a lot of street portraits where I interact with the person I'm shooting. I don't use a long lens and take pictures of people without them knowing.
Okay.
A, I don't find that interesting, and B, I find it a little bit intrusive or impolite.
A bit creepy.
But if I see someone interesting, I'll just go up to them and have a quick chat and just establish if they're like a friendly person, if they're going to be okay with being photographed. Just walk past. Like there's a picture in my book of a monk with sunglasses on, holding a big stick. That's one picture that I thought, I can't miss this picture. I've got to talk to this guy. So an example like that, I'll just stop and say, "Hey, S7.E2, how are you? Where are you going?" And then I'll say, "Oh, do you mind if I photograph you?" And literally 99% of the time in Bangkok, people say yes. I would rather ask and be told no than not ask and then get home and regret that I didn't get that picture, because that's happened to me before.
Right.
And that it doesn't really happen to me much now because I always ask, but in the old days it would really haunt me. It would haunt me for days that, damn, I wish I'd had the guts to ask that guy.
I could just see like Tim's version of sitting bolt upright in bed at night is like,
exactly. Yeah, it happens.
That one guy with the backlight. Oh,
yeah, that would have been a great shot. And I can still see a picture I missed out on once of this guy in a workshop, beautifully lit. And there was something about him that just made me think, no, I'm not going to ask him. And this was like 4 years ago, and it still haunts me to this day. So I suppose you could call it FOMO, fear of missing out the picture.
Right. So
now when I see someone interesting, I'll always ask, and I'd rather get a slap in the face and be told to piss off than not ask and regret it.
Right. Sit bolt upright, covered in sweat.
Yeah, and I think with photographing people, I think if you're respectful and you're open about what you're doing, and you say to people, "Hey, I'm a photographer. I like your glasses, or I like your shirt, or you look interesting. Can I take your picture?" People are okay about it. They're flattered a lot of the time. Even if they're not okay, because you've been nice to them, they'll be nice to you if they say no. So I think it's when you're being furtive, when you're sort of hiding behind a tree trying to photograph someone, that's when people get
a bit of a stalker vibe.
Get angry. Yeah, you come across as a bit of a stalker or paparazzi or something.
That's when your nickname becomes You in the Bushes.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm looking at the photo you talked about here of the monk holding this.
I mean, how can you not photograph that guy?
Dude looks like a kung fu movie. He's got these aviator sunglasses on with his scepter, and
he's fantastic. Brilliant. It's like, and he looked a bit intimidating, but I thought, I've just got to ask this guy, and if he says no, fine. At least I tried.
Let's talk about some of these pictures here. There's a picture of a guy getting his hair cut, shot from behind. Is there a barber shop on site?
No, on platform 12 in the old days, which is just about 100 yards from us here. Platform 12, 3 times a week, there used to be a hairdressing school that would come along, set up half a dozen barbers' chairs and do free haircuts.
Oh, wow, cool.
So haircuts for like homeless people or people who were, traveling into Bangkok and needed a haircut for a job interview or whatever. And they would do that 3 times a week, and it was basically a way for hairdressing students to get experience.
Okay, right on.
Of real people. And there would always be these beautiful old trains as a backdrop, and it was just such a great thing to. I mean, how often do you see people getting haircuts on a railway platform?
Yeah, exactly.
With an old train locomotive in the background.
Yeah.
And it was just this great thing to photograph. Plus, the people were in barbers' chairs with the sheets over them, so they couldn't really get away. So they were kind of like a captive,
giving you the bird, but you can't see it under the thing.
Yeah, and it was just such a great thing to photograph. Such a unique thing, because I've not seen that anywhere else in the world. I mean, you see street barbers everywhere in Southeast Asia, but not on railway platforms.
Right.
That's something else that's lost now, because obviously it doesn't happen here anymore, and it's not going to happen at the new station. So.
Yeah. Do you have a permit for that? Yeah. There's a lot of photos in here. I'm just flipping through the book here. There's a lot of photos that are centered around these benches, one of which we're sitting on now.
Yeah.
And even something like this old wooden bench that's got seating all around it. It's like this oval bench. I mean, geez, people would pay thousands of dollars for these vintage things.
I think they are selling them. I think you can buy them.
Oh, really?
I think they were selling them for about, I could be wrong, but I think they were around 12,000 baht a piece or something.
Wow.
Because they're iconic. I mean, I think if anything symbolizes this station, it's these benches, because they're quite unique in shape.
Think we could get one?
Who
do we talk to?
You probably could. Richard will know.
Well, I'll contact the
but I think they were, because there used to be benches all the way down here. They're all gone, and I think they were. You see down this platform as well.
Yeah, where the train is coming in right now.
All the way down there. They for me, I think, are probably one of the symbols of the station. A monk sitting on one of those benches is like the archetypal Hualamphong image. I'd quite like to have one in my front garden. Actually, it would be quite.
Oh, this would be
nice.
Amazing. I mean, my wife would scream at me if I brought one home, but I think I could win that argument. This is a historic piece of Bangkok. There's some good pictures in here too of lonely people, like alone workers, sort of sitting in the middle of the deserted hall. It must be late at night or in between shifts or something like that.
Yeah, well, the one of the guys sitting in the deserted hall was during COVID.
Okay.
I tried not to put too many. So
sounds like a horrible accident.
We've got a train just arriving in here for some genuine ambient noise. There we go. I tried not to put too many COVID era pictures in, because I think pictures of people wearing masks sort of dates it a little bit.
Good point.
But there is one picture there of a railway porter just sort of sitting on his trolley looking bored at an empty station during COVID.
What's the station like when it's totally empty? It must be kind of creepy.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was interesting during COVID, because there was literally nobody here. All the porters were sitting around bored. Right. Everyone was just sort of sitting around like the rest of us, sitting around bored with nothing to do.
There's a photo here of a whole. It looks like a students, like hundreds and hundreds.
I think it's a scout group or a student group going off somewhere. Yeah.
Right. And that again speaks to the importance of this place historically. I mean, there's going to be an entire multi-generations of people that have seen the station or come through the station, or it's played an important part in school trips and outings and family trips and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and I think anyone who's lived in Bangkok a while has been here at least once. And I think, a lot of tourists who've been to Thailand in the last 30, 40 years have taken a train out from or into Hualamphong as well. So that's one of the reasons that I chatted to the publisher. Publisher wanted to do a book with me, and we thought, what can we do a book about? And then I thought, well, I've got thousands of pictures of Hualamphong. Hualamphong's closing soon. It's a very popular building, so let's do a book on that, and boil down a couple of thousand pictures to 60, which was pretty tough.
There's some photos here of the boys in brown too, the train staff.
Yeah, they're immaculately tailored.
Yeah, man, I don't think I can get away with wearing a shirt that tight.
The button would pop off. I haven't got the figure for that.
Put someone I
wish I did, but. When you say beach body, I think a Thai railway guard body is something to aspire to as well.
What can you say about the workers here, the staff? Are they nice? Are they interesting? Where do they come from? What do they do? Are they proud of this job?
I've been moved on a couple of times. I mean, you'll occasionally get sort of officious security guards who don't want you photographing here. I think technically you're not allowed to photograph here. There are a lot of signs at the top of the platform saying no photograph. But like anywhere in Thailand, it's kind of, laws are there to be bent.
You can generally do it until someone specifically tells you.
That's what I usually do. And to be honest, I've been here 100 times, and I've only been told to stop shooting, I think, twice.
Right. They probably have got a nickname for you. That weirdo who's down here with the camera all the time.
Weird phalanx back again. Yeah. I mean, I've seen people here get moved on for setting up lighting and setting up tripods and things, like trying to do wedding shoots and stuff like that. But we're sitting here with microphones, obviously recording something, and people have walked past and nobody.
Right.
No, but talking about the staff, there's one nice story which is the picture of. If you get back to the pictures of the staff, this guy.
Okay, there's a guy leaning out of a train window, looking to the left, and he's holding.
So this is one of the old Japanese locomotives that was imported to do tourist trips.
Oh, okay.
So I got a picture of this guy hanging out the window with his green flag, and I think that's him with a red flag on the next page. I shared that picture on Twitter, and a couple of days later I got a message via my Facebook page from some guy saying, "Do you sell your photographs?"
Oh, no way.
And I said, "Yeah, I do." And I said, "Which one are you interested in?" He said, "Oh, this one. It's me. I'm the guy hanging out of with the flag." And I said, "Well, look, I'm not gonna sell you a picture of yourself. I'll do you a print. Give me your address, and I'll do you a couple of prints and send it to you."
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I did a print, sent it to him. Then he sent me a picture of him actually standing in front of the train holding the print.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to send him a book as well, actually, because he's in 2 pictures on the book. So I've got to send him. That reminds me, I've got to send him a copy of the book.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I think that's typical of doing photography in Bangkok in general, because Bangkok people, especially the sort of working class Bangkok people that you get in this area in Chinatown and Klong Toi, where I do a lot of shooting, people are just really, really friendly and very easygoing, and generally sort of curious about why there's a foreigner with a camera hanging around. You know, why you're not at the Grand Palace, why you're not at Wat Po, you know, why are you photographing me? And it's it's very easy to talk to people here. One of the pleasures I have of going out photographing here is that I'll go out 3 or 4 hours. I'll walk around Chinatown or Klong Toi. I'll stop and chat to people. I'll stop for a coffee or a beer somewhere. And these days, I don't really care if I get any good pictures or not. You know, it's just the process of being out, photographing, hanging out, meeting people. If I get some good pictures, great, obviously. But if I don't, I've had a good time anyway. So.
Yeah, you and Neil Shelley go out a lot, right?
Yeah.
Together, yeah. And you guys just post just like serial street photographers. The incredible volume of photos you guys take is astounding.
Well, Neil goes out like 3 or 4 times a week. I mean,
how does his wife tolerate?
Neil's relentless. You know, he goes out all the time. I try and go out at least once a week. Yeah, we go out together quite a lot, and you know, we'll end up half the time we'll just end up sitting drinking coffee or drinking beer. And,
right.
And we won't really come back with any good pictures, but that's not really. It's like people who go fishing. The point isn't catching fish. The point is sitting by the river with a case of beer.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, I ride my bike a lot in Bangkok, and I'm a big advocate of that. And it's a way to experience and see Bangkok in a way that not a lot of people do. And I imagine street photography or doing a project like this is much the same. No one's going to stop and talk to some random janitor at the train station. But when you do things like that here, you get a really interesting insight into like how the city works behind the scenes.
Yeah, if I didn't do photography, I wouldn't know Bangkok half as well as I do. You know, during COVID, I had a lot of free time, and so I would just get off at a random BTS MRT station, wander around and explore. So photography's taken me to parts of the city that normally I would never go to. And I think having a camera also kind of is like, it's an excuse to talk to people. If you were walking around without a camera talking to random people would probably think you were a bit mental. It would be a bit weird.
Yeah.
But that camera kind of gives you a foot in the door.
Interesting.
I'm quite sort of introverted as well. I don't really like going up and talking to random people, but having the camera kind of gives you an excuse to do that, and people respond to you as well. I walk around Klong Toi quite a lot, and you'll see quite scary looking, gangster looking guys, no shirts on, tattoos, shaven heads, standing around on street corners looking like they're up to no good, and they see you with a camera and they go, "Oh, picture," and call you over.
Right on.
And it's a great icebreaker, and yeah, it's a really good way to explore the city.
Those are the guys to make friends with too. Those dudes are you need a hand in a bit of trouble.
Exactly. We've got a random dog wandering over to join us as well.
Dog staring at us. Even the dog's looking at what these random fellas doing.
We're trying to get the dog to come over and join the podcast, Dogcast.
The Dogcast, right? Well, Tim, this is really cool. This has been great, and I'm glad we were able to get down here to record at this station. And of course, now we're coming to the end of the interview. It's absolutely silent. There's no trains or any people. But we got some good ambient sound. So a little bit more about the book. The book is called Bangkok Station by Tim Russell.
Yeah, published by Soy Books, which is a UK publisher.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So yeah, the book has just come out. So we recently did a launch event at the FCCT and there's an exhibition of pictures there on there from 20th November to about 14th, 15th December.
Okay.
As well, in the bar area.
Okay.
And we're also in the process of trying to get the book into bookshops at the moment as well. So at the moment, the book is available via my website, timrussellphotography.asia.
Okay.
Anyone who follows me on Twitter or Instagram as well,
right?
You can get the book from there, and hopefully the book will be in bookshops in Thailand in 2024.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I urge everyone to check it out. It's not a massive book. It's not an expensive book, but it's a beautiful book. It's got some great collections, some really cool photos here, and it's something to get and put on your bookshelf, because when you're looking back, to the old days from the future, when the Hualamphong Hotel and Shopping Mall is here. Yeah. People are going to miss this place, and it's really nice to be able to have these. That's part of the idea
of doing the book was to try and make, I guess, a little bit of a time capsule.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy coming here. There'll be a day when I won't be able to come here and take photos anymore, because it'll be a museum, or it'll be, like you say, it'll be a central world Hualamphong or something.
Right.
So it's nice to have this little time capsule to look back on it, and to look at it from the point of view of the people who use the station rather than just the architecture or the trains.
Right. Well, Tim, thanks, man. It's been great to sit down and chat, and thanks for coming down to meet us here. And everyone, again, go out and go to the website and get the book. And if you see some random Farang dude with black glasses carrying a camera, that's probably Tim. Walk up and say hi.
Probably me. Yes. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Dude, I don't know Tim. I've never met him, but I've been following him for a long time on Twitter and Threads and Instagram. I feel like he's just pretty well known as a photographer in Thailand.
Yeah, he's pretty prolific. His Instagram is full of just great street photos. He just wanders around with his camera like taped to his hand all the time, just taking
for sure
thousands and thousands of photos, and he puts the best one on Instagram. And the book is really, really cool. And, I've got some really nostalgic core memories of Hualamphong back in my early days, in my 20s, running around Bangkok being an idiot.
For sure.
And, taking the overnights up to Chiang Mai back when they used to let you drink and party on the trains. You'd meet people from all over the place. And
for sure.
Anyone who's lived here for a long time, probably Hualamphong holds a special place for them.
No doubt. I mean, Hualamphong is iconic. I mean, it's like the word iconic is made for a place like Hualamphong. Yeah. In a way, it's a little bit like the Scala Theater. It's just one of these things that every not necessarily old, but everyone who's lived in Thailand a long time knows these places or spent time there or has big memories. It's just it's almost beyond nostalgia. It's part of Bangkok's identity.
Yeah.
So it's we've talked about it a little bit before. At least they're not planning on tearing it down, right?
Well, not yet. Like we discussed in the episode, there is plans for it to continue on as a museum or something like that. And there was enough of an outcry when the new station was built for people to take notice and say, we're not going to tear it down. But I mean, that's what they said about the Scala. That's what they said about the old Intercontinental Hotel where Paragon now sits. So there's only so long that they can hold off as the value of that land ticks up and up and up, so who knows how long that's going to last.
Right. Well, there is obviously the MRT station there. But without that part of the city is kind of fascinating because obviously there's other stuff around there. I mean, it's kind of in the middle of the city, not far from Chinatown. But clearly, the Hualamphong Station was the thing that was there. That's kind of it. That's a weird. If you look at a map, there's weird multiple cross streets that come together at Hualamphong Station.
Well, that used to be downtown, right? Before cars and airplanes, that's how everyone got to Thailand.
For sure.
And you get off at Hualamphong, and there'd still be all kinds of canals that would take you out to the river, and just across the street there, the train station, the rail line that would take you all the way down to Samut Prakan, and down towards the ports. So that used to be the center of Bangkok, back when Saton and Silom and Sukhumvit were just sort of dusty trails for getting cows to graze.
I'm kind of curious, what's going to happen. Once, I know it's not functioning like it used to, but once it's, let's say it's officially becomes a museum and there's just no rail traffic there anymore.
Right.
I wonder what's going to happen to that area. I hope it develops, but clearly the main attraction to that area was the station. Like you said, it used to be the center of the city.
Yeah, it's a really interesting area because it's culturally, historically, architecturally very, very interesting. But it's also got some really skeezy adjacent areas where weird things go on after dark.
It's very slummy. Yeah, it's very slummy. Has very slummy characteristics as well.
Yeah, but interesting place nonetheless, and a very interesting building. So many thanks to Tim for sitting down and chatting. And also to my son, who spent the entire interview laying on the bench behind us, wondering when we were going to finish. But it was great to meet Tim. I'd never met him before, but a good conversation. And definitely check out his book. It's really cool. It's got some very, very nice photos. And like I said, it soon, sadly, might be one of the only ways that you might be able to experience the glory of the official name of Bangkok Train Station.
Well, Tim, thank you for coming on the show. And it's definitely something that needed to be done. Yeah. There needs to be a record of Hualamphong. It's just iconic. There's nothing else to say about it.
That's right. Just like Tim himself. All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or live with, where one of us picks a particular aspect of living in Bangkok, which we discuss to decide if it's something we love about living here, loathe about living here, or have come to accept as something that we just have to learn to live with no matter how we feel about it. And this weekend, I'm going to throw something your way.
Okay.
Now, I think we've done this before. I'm pretty sure we have, actually, but it was so long ago that I can't remember if I did it with you or Evo. So I'm going to do it again because I was reminded about this when our buddy David sent me a link on Instagram, and it was someone who made a video about this, which sort of jogged my reminders that this is old hat to long-termers like you and I, but to people who might be newer to Thailand, this is something crazy and weird that they've never seen before. So I figured it might be worth talking about again. But you've got a much more active social life than I do, so you might experience this more than I do. But in certain places in Bangkok, when you go out and you are a few drinks into your evening and you need to go to the bathroom as a man, when you go into certain places, you stand at the urinal and then a guy comes up behind you and massages your shoulders as you're taking a leak. What do you think of this?
No doubt. This is super old school. This actually happened to me in my first few weeks in Thailand in 2000, and it completely freaked me out. So this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen in a lot of places. The place that I associate with this experience is Tawandang Brewery on Rama 3 Road.
Ooh, I haven't been to Tawandang in a long time.
I haven't been to Tawandang in a long time, but me and my friends went there my first month, or might have been second month I was in Thailand, and I go to the urinal, I go to urinate, and while I'm urinating, like the bathroom attendant starts giving me a massage, and it just scared me. It's like a shock, because that's not a Western thing to do. Like other people touching you while you're peeing, that is not an American thing. That just doesn't happen. Yeah, so it completely freaked me out. And so I just got to say, like, I don't like it. Like, it's just I don't like it. It's just not part of where I came from, part of my culture. To me, it seems really odd to touch someone else when you're peeing.
When their wang is out.
So I can't really say anything else other than like big negative. But like I managed not to freak out or punch the guy in the face. Like, so I didn't do that. I have been to town. Like back in the day, I used to go to Tawandang regularly, and so I just developed a habit of, as I'm going to pee, I just look at the guy and wave him off.
Right.
It's like,
don't touch me.
Just be like, hey, I'm good. The I'm good wave. So I did that. But one of my funniest stories about this is a buddy of mine told me that once, also at Tawandang, he didn't get the shoulder massage, but while he was peeing, a hand reached around his face with a mint. So he's just standing there, and like a hand came around with a mint. Isn't that great? Isn't that so odd? Like,
for you, sir.
Yeah, for you, sir. Right? There's something
I would rather have someone give me a massage than. Oh, that is so creepy! Oh my god,
isn't that weird? Yeah, it just shows you how cultures are different, and just because back home you leave someone alone while they're peeing. Like that's what you do.
Yeah.
You don't tap you don't tap someone on the shoulder. And typically you don't really begin a conversation. You might, I guess you could talk while you're peeing, but that's fairly rare as well.
Yeah.
With
the funny story I have, which I'm sure I've mentioned probably at some point, but I was in a place on Pat Pong years ago, and I was at the urinal, and some young British guy came in, and he was taking a whiz, and the guy came up behind him, and he puts a hot towel around your neck.
Oh, sure,
your shoulders, right?
Sure, absolutely,
and
right.
This guy jumped, and he went like, bloody hell, and he took the towel off his shoulder, and he threw it in the urinal as he was peeing on it.
Oh shit!
And like the guy was the attendant was mad. He started screaming, and the British guy started screaming, and by that time I had finished and left. So
I mean, this is a thing that could really upset some people, because it's very off-putting. So this is kind of a rare easy loathe.
I think so too, but at the same time, if everyone freaked out and threatened violence, they wouldn't keep doing it, right? So there must be people who are okay with it.
Yeah, I don't get it. Maybe. I don't know. Like, is it an Asian thing? So maybe do Chinese and Japanese tourists not mind this? I don't know. So I don't mean loathe, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, or I'm not putting it down in the sense that I think it's, this is beneath me. I'm just saying that it's not something that I'm used to or like. That's
generally,
it.
When I'm taking a leak, I don't want people to touch it. I don't even let my wife do that. Get out of here.
Yeah. I don't want anyone touching me while I'm peeing.
Yeah.
That's just me. No judgment attached. No judgment attached. So this is a pretty rare dual loathe.
Dual loathe, yeah.
So funny. All right, a final thanks to our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping in our never-ending quest for cool... Why are you laughing?
A mint in his mouth.
Like,
that's so weird.
I love the hand coming around.
Just
so you just
slow motion.
You just see that.
Like Thing from the Addams Family.
Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping in our never-ending quest for cool content. Find out more by clicking support on our website. And connect with us online. We're Bangkok Podcast on social media, BangkokPodcast.com on the web, or simply BangkokPodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from our listeners and always reply to our messages.
That's right. You can also listen to each episode on YouTube. You can send us a voicemail through our website that will feature on the show. Hit me up on Threads at BKKGreg. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you back here next week.
For sure. Hello.
Oops,
Boom, baby.
Sorry. Boom, baby. Yeah, also, sorry for completely flaking last night and forgetting that we had to record. So.
No. I was just, I didn't know exactly what was up. I just assumed you were busy.
Well, we've only been doing it for 5 years every week at the same time and day. So.
No worries.